You're 40 and still single? Looks like your best days are behind you. My husband is rich, handsome, and exceptionally brilliant, Rachel declared in our family's backyard. People around us began to murmur, their expressions reflecting confusion. This reaction was understandable because Rachel and I were the only sisters who grew up together in this house. From a young age, I had been forced to cater to Rachel's whims. I was always told that as the older sister, I had to endure it. But I couldn't take it anymore. I decided that I wouldn't suppress my feelings toward Rachel any longer. My name is Lindsay Jones, a 40-year-old homemaker. I used to work in medical administration, but I quit my job when my 5-year-old daughter, Sophia, was born. These days, I spend more time at home, eagerly awaiting the return of my daughter from preschool and my beloved husband from work. "Lindsay, I'm home," Paul called out. "Welcome home." "Sophia, Daddy's back." I responded. "Daddy's back." Sophia shouted. "Hi, Sophia. Did you have fun at preschool today?"
Yeah.
Guess what happened today? My husband Paul is a devoted father who actively participates in parenting and household chores, even though I'm a stay-at-home mom. When he's not working, he's a considerate husband who gives me breaks from the chores. Wow, this is really well drawn.
Yeah.
This is Mommy, this is me, and this is Daddy. Great job. Thanks. That makes me so happy. Sophia loves drawing, especially pictures of our family. Her smile when Paul praises her work is absolutely adorable. This is really well done. Do you like drawing?
Yeah.
I am always grateful for my two precious loved ones. One day, I received a call from an unknown number. It seemed suspicious, but thinking it might concern my family, I answered the call. "Hello?" "Oh, Lindsay, still alive, I see." It was Rachel. "Rachel, how do you know my phone number?" "With money, it's easy to find out." "Oh, by the way, I know your address too, so there's no use trying to run." "What do you want?" "We cut ties with you and your family." Rachel's arrogant tone almost made me angry, but I held it in and asked calmly. "So, it's about Grandma." "I didn't want to contact you, but it was Grandma's wish. She wanted you to come to the funeral." "All right, when is it?" She told me the date and time of the funeral and hung up. Just before ending the call, Rachel mentioned that she had found my social media account. "It seems like you're living a pretty modest life. Still single, are you? I don't see a ring, and your account activity is sparse. Hope you don't end up all alone in your old age." I could hear her stifling a laugh. The memory of Rachel's mocking expressions from the past stirred my emotions, but the call ended before I could respond. Rachel and I were sisters from a moderately wealthy family. We were raised by a strict grandfather and a kind grandmother. Our father always obeyed our grandfather's orders, and his wife, our mother, was constantly trying to please him. Growing up in this household, I was treated differently from my younger sister, Rachel. The reason seemed trivial. Rachel resembled our father, while I took after our mother. While I was loved by my mother and our kind grandmother, it was a major issue that I wasn't favored by our grandfather and father in our patriarchal household. Rachel's whims were always indulged, while as the eldest daughter, I was expected to endure everything. It wasn't unusual for Rachel to monopolize things, whether it was toys, hobbies, or even meals. I remember this happening ever since Rachel was a baby. Though we had money, I wasn't allowed to attend a private high school and had to go to the local public one instead. Rachel, on the other hand, enrolled in a prestigious private girls' school renowned in the area. She was chauffeured daily and often invited friends over for tea after school. One day, I unknowingly stumbled upon them in the backyard, where Rachel and her friends were having tea. Oh my, isn't this, oh, Lindsay? Yes, it's me. Could you just disappear somewhere? Looking at your gloomy face is ruining my mood. I grew up in a house where Rachel's whims were treated as law. Rachel was cruel to me but played the role of the perfect child in front of our grandparents and father. As I walked away, Rachel answered her friend's questions with a disdainful expression. Oh, her. She's my boring, useless older sister. After graduating high school, I saved up money and attended vocational school, becoming a medical administrative assistant. I found fulfillment in helping not just patients, but also doctors and nurses. It was there that I met Daniel Miller, an elite and highly intelligent man. He was a resident at the hospital where I started working. We occasionally went out for meals together, and there was good chemistry between us, but I felt we needed a little push to move forward. During a rare trip home, I mentioned him to my mother. Rachel showed up unexpectedly. Normally, she avoided talking to me, so I stopped mid-conversation and waited for her to leave. Surprisingly, Rachel approached me with a warm smile. Lindsay, you've met someone wonderful, haven't you? I'm so jealous. Could you tell me more about him? No matter how awful Rachel had been to me in the past, I had always wanted to get along with her as sisters. Her conversation and smile brightened my spirits. So, with my mother, I told her about Daniel. Lindsay, you should take the next step. My mother seemed to agree, and with their encouragement, Daniel and I officially started dating. Rachel, we've decided to be a couple. Congratulations. Lindsay, I hope we can meet him at our house someday. Seeing Rachel's smile put me at ease. Since moving out, Rachel's attitude seemed to change for the better. She appeared more mature and rational. I thought our relationship was finally improving. But later, I ended up cutting ties with Rachel because she stole my fiancé. My relationship with Daniel had been going well for several years, and he eventually proposed to me. We promised to marry and were extremely happy. Before informing my parents of our engagement, I decided to introduce Daniel to Rachel. The three of us arranged to meet. When Rachel saw my fiancé, her face lit up as she spoke to him. I had no idea you were such a wonderful person. I wish I'd met you sooner. Stop it, Rachel. I'm just joking. I was delighted that Rachel, usually so cold, could joke around with me. Take good care of my sister. Of course, I will. Moved by their exchange, I began to cry. Rachel gently patted my back. Grateful for her kindness, I thought I was finally on the path to happiness. A month later, as I was planning to visit my parents with Daniel, he called me. Hello, Daniel. I was just about to call you. We need to visit my parents soon. I'm sorry. What? I can't marry you. Daniel, wait. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. Please don't contact me again. Daniel, wait. What's going on? The call abruptly ended, and despite my repeated attempts, I found myself blocked on every channel. Confused and unsure of what had happened, I visited my parents' house a few days later. There appeared to be a guest, and from the living room, I could see Rachel and the back of another figure. Sitting in front of my grandparents, I immediately recognized Daniel as the person next to Rachel. Daniel and Rachel turned to look at me. Rachel's arrogant, triumphant smile became seared into my memory at that moment. I ran out of the house. My mother, carrying a tea tray, tried to say something to me, but I couldn't hear her. I found myself curled up on a park bench. The rain began to fall, growing heavier, but I didn't care. Then my phone rang. It was Rachel. I'm sorry, Lindsay, Rachel said, but there wasn't a trace of regret in her voice. What is the meaning of this? I just wanted Daniel, that's all. Her voice sounded just like when we were kids, begging for toys or food. Remember? I told you I wish I'd met him sooner. Rachel and Daniel had exchanged contact information during our meeting and had been secretly seeing each other. Recently, they had become quite close. Why? Why would you do this? Oh, Lindsay, you knew this already, didn't you? What's yours is mine. Even the kindness I showed Daniel? It was all lies to make him mine. Thank you for introducing such a wonderful man to me. This was inevitable. I'm more charming, it was just a matter of time.
Goodbye.
The call ended abruptly. I changed my phone number, canceled my apartment lease, and found a new job. I couldn't keep working at the same workplace as Daniel. I severed ties with my family, including Rachel, and hadn't seen them since. Rachel's claim about finding my social media account was true, as she had sent me a friend request. Her account was filled with posts of her glamorous and happy life. One of them, posted just 5 minutes ago, caught my eye. Finally found the account of my long-lost beloved sister. I can't imagine living such a modest life, but she's my one and only sister. She linked my account in her post, which garnered numerous comments from her friends. I can't believe she's Rachel's sister, living like that. She hasn't changed at all since the last time we met. But Rachel, you're amazing for still caring about her. I couldn't take it anymore and turned off my phone. The friend request seemed like it was just an excuse to show off. Old feelings toward Rachel started to resurface. I couldn't hold it in any longer. A desire for revenge began to grow. On the day of my grandmother's funeral, I showed up as Rachel had requested. Oh, you came. Just like your modest lifestyle on social media, your outfit is plain. Daniel, you look well. Daniel muttered, avoiding my gaze uncomfortably. Although I had no intention of ever seeing them again, I couldn't turn down my grandmother's last wish. She had always cared for me, even while living under the shadow of my grandfather. Mommy, who's that? A boy, about 5 years old and resembling Rachel, approached. This is my sister. Wow, Auntie looks old. Mommy is prettier. His innocent remark reminded me of Rachel's younger self. Isn't he adorable? Let me introduce you. This is my son, Carter. He goes to a private kindergarten. It was hard to get in, but he's smart like Daniel. Daniel is my pride and joy, Rachel said, her face glowing with triumph. Lindsay, are you here alone? Oh, that's right, you're not married. I saw a photo of your ringless hand in one of your posts. Oh, I suddenly remembered an old post. Being single at 40 is like being past your expiration date. My husband is rich, handsome, and a genius. Rachel laughed hysterically, and seeing this, Sophia ran over to me. Careful, Sophia, it's dangerous, I warned. Sorry, but it seemed like Mommy was being bullied, she replied. At that moment, Paul, who had parked the car nearby, approached and scooped Sophia up in his arms. Mommy. Well then, let me make introductions. This is my husband, Paul Jones, the director of a nearby hospital, and our daughter, Sophia. Wait, Brown. The youngest hospital director? Daniel exclaimed. Yes, that's correct, I confirmed. Paul and I met after I severed ties with my family and started working at the hospital. At the time, he was an up-and-coming physician. He was drawn to my diligent care for patients and efficient support for the medical staff. We started dating soon after. Rachel and Daniel were speechless, struggling to process this revelation. Meanwhile, Carter, oblivious to his parents' shock, shouted, "Oh, it's Sophia. Sophia from Sophia Channel, with 300,000 subscribers. I watch her all the time. I always thought she was so cute. Can we be friends?" Carter approached Sophia, who was being held by Paul, with a friendly smile. "No, I don't like you. You were mean to my mommy," Sophia said, turning her face away in a pout. Carter stood there, stunned, then turned to Rachel, glaring at his mother with accusing eyes. "This is all because of you, stupid mommy," he yelled, tears streaming as he ran off. Rachel hesitated about chasing after him but suddenly turned to me. "What's the meaning of this? Even though your posts are so plain, Sophia has more followers than I do?" "Oh, about that, I don't put much effort into my own posts. I focus on Sophia's channel instead," I explained. "And about the ring, we keep our wedding rings on necklaces. When Sophia was little, we didn't want her tugging on them. I pulled out my necklace and showed her the ring." Rachel's face contorted with confusion. "How could someone as plain as you marry such a high-status man?" Rachel asked. "Rachel, stop it," Daniel interjected. "Daniel, you think the same, don't you?" "I'm not plain like her," Rachel insisted. "I said stop it." Daniel grabbed Rachel's arm and turned her to face him. "Listen, Lindsay's husband is the director of the hospital I work at. She's the director's wife." Rachel fell silent, tears welling up in her eyes, as Daniel stared at her sternly. "My deepest apologies, Paul. My wife has been incredibly disrespectful to your wife." "I'm sorry, Lindsay." "It's okay," I replied. "This is enough for today. I'd like to pay my respects to my wife's beloved grandmother." "Of course, right, Rachel?" Daniel prompted. "Oh, yes, please go ahead," Rachel answered. After that, everything proceeded without issue, and I said my final goodbyes to my dear grandmother. I introduced my husband and daughter to my parents. My mother shed tears of joy, while my father maintained a stern expression, still favoring Rachel. My mother asked me to visit again, but it was hard to make promises. I could only offer her a small smile. A few days later, aware of Rachel's cunning nature, I opened social media with an uneasy feeling. Sure enough, Rachel's page had a new post from the day before. It featured a photo of Sophia from behind, with a caption reading, "I was lucky enough to meet Sophia from Sophia Channel. She was so sweet and even gave my son an autograph." The background of the photo was completely blurred to hide any details. I was stunned by Rachel's relentless self-promotion. The comment section was flooded with admiration. "Amazing. So jealous," people exclaimed. I left a warning comment. "Please delete this photo immediately, and stop lying about the autograph." Rachel responded with a new post, attaching a screenshot of my comment. "Jealousy is so ugly. I never lie." The comment section was filled with people defending Rachel, making me look like the bad one. It felt like a ridiculous parody of her previous posts. Realizing it was pointless to argue with Rachel, I posted on Sophia Channel's official social media. I explained that the photo of Sophia had been taken without permission and that the autograph claim was false, as Sophia wasn't yet signing autographs. Additionally, I created a video with Sophia about internet literacy for children, explaining why it's important not to post photos of others without consent. The video, designed to be easy for kids to understand, received many positive comments. A few days later, I received a friend request from a new account belonging to Rachel. "What are you going to do?" "My account was suspended," read her message. I hadn't expected an apology, but her attitude made me feel ashamed to be related to her. Driven by her insatiable hunger for attention on social media, Rachel had created a new account. "It's your fault for ignoring my request," she accused. "You're the one at fault for posting photos of someone else's child online without permission," I replied. "What's the problem? We're relatives. A little fame won't hurt, right?" Her true colors were clear. "I've spent so much time perfecting the angles and making countless posts, and it's all gone to waste. Why not try again with your new account? Just don't post lies. You're in no position to lecture me. Stay out of my life from now on," she retorted. Despite her being the one to contact me, she acted as if I was interfering. Her self-centered world continued to spin, filled with seemingly successful, glamorous posts. The elite school friends she used to invite to tea parties often appeared in her posts. Later, I received another friend request. This time, it was from an unfamiliar woman with a recognizable face in her profile picture. She was one of Rachel's friends from her elite school days. "Hello, are you Rachel's sister?" she began. "Yes, I am," I confirmed. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, she shared some troubling news. "Actually, I've been having some issues because of Rachel." "Issues? What kind of issues?" I asked. She revealed that Rachel had been pressuring her former school friends into hosting party events for her posts or showing up at their homes uninvited. "Really?" I asked, surprised. "Yes, I thought it was just me, but others are experiencing the same." When Rachel's account was suspended, she came to me for help. Since I had supported her posts with comments, she expected me to stand by her. Even those comments were coerced by her, she admitted. "But how did she pressure you?" I asked. "She forces me to comment on wonderful events that haven't happened. She strongly insists that those events did occur." Appalled by Rachel's reckless schemes, I advised her friend. "That's likely a lie. Rachel lives in a world centered around herself and thinks she can get away with it." After this conversation, another former school friend of Rachel's contacted me with a similar story. Over the past few days, the number of friends appearing in Rachel's posts had noticeably declined, which struck me as odd. I gave them the same advice, and gradually Rachel's friends disappeared from her posts. Both confirmed that Rachel's supposed proof didn't exist. Since then, I had become friends with both of them. Rachel's posts grew visibly lonelier compared to before. Borrowing her words, Rachel's life had become quite modest. About a week later, Paul started coming home late as the hospital grew busier. When I brought snacks to visit him, everyone seemed to be in a hurry. The nurses were grateful for the snacks, but seemed hesitant to share details when I asked. A few days later, once work had calmed down, Paul returned home late. For the first time, he didn't stop to look at Sophia's sleeping face, but instead spoke to me with a serious expression. "It's about Daniel, Rachel's husband." "What about Daniel?" I asked. It turned out that Daniel had committed a medical error. The past few days had been consumed by necessary hospital procedures and addressing the concerns of the patient and their family. Daniel had tried to cover up the incident, but an anonymous report to the hospital had exposed it. Paul, his expression heavy, explained that such behavior was unacceptable for a doctor entrusted with lives. "Doctors who betray that trust should never be allowed to continue," I agreed. "Exactly. That's why we had to let Daniel go. It's effectively a termination." On top of that, Daniel's attitude at work was poor, making it unlikely for him to find another job in the field. Since Paul knew about my family dynamics from the funeral, he shared his concern about Rachel's family with me. Later, I learned about Rachel's situation through a phone call. "It's been a while, Lindsay," my mother said. "Mom," I replied. My mother, restricted by my father from contacting me, informed me that Rachel had been disowned by the family. Rachel had divorced Daniel after his medical error came to light and their constant fighting became unbearable. Daniel lost his job and financial stability, and Carter ended up in a facility. This incident revealed Rachel's true nature even to my father. "So, didn't you take Carter in?" I asked. "Your father and I couldn't. We're too old, and we might need to go into a facility ourselves soon." It was painful to refuse, but after your father disowned Rachel following the divorce, it became difficult, my mother explained. She felt responsible for spoiling Rachel and turning her into the person she was today. She said they decided to provide financial support anonymously through the facility, as they couldn't do the same for their grandchild. My mother began to cry. "I'm so sorry," she repeated over and over. "It's okay," I said. I knew my mother and grandmother had done their best. Still, it was true that I didn't have many fond memories of that house. So I asked her to allow me to keep my distance. "Lindsay, how about going to the amusement park this weekend?" "I think Sophia would love it," Paul suggested. "I want to go. I'll ride the Ladybug roller coaster." Sophia shouted. "That's great, Sophia. Let's record it and share all the fun with everyone," I said, planning our next outing as we enjoyed a family dinner together for the first time in a while. "Then I should dress up too," Paul said. "No. Daddy can't be in the video. Daddy belongs to Mommy and Sophia," Sophia replied firmly. "Okay, then Mommy has to dress up," I joked. "No. I don't want everyone to know how cute Mommy is," Sophia said, puffing out her cheeks. "But don't you brag about me to your friends at preschool?" I asked. "Well, yes, but..." Sophia muttered sulkily. "I don't want everyone to know Mommy's cute." I was surprised when Paul nodded vigorously, but I felt incredibly happy. I hold deep affection for these two, and I desire for this tranquil and joyful existence to persist eternally.